And hello again, everyone. Welcome into this week's edition of Panther Pride, joined by Wellborn head coach Jeff Smith. On Friday night, the Panthers winning a big 3A Region 5 game against Glencoe by a final score of 35-28. Coach, this is a big win. It keeps your playoff hopes alive. This was a team that's you've played a couple of very close games with the last couple of years and came up on the short end of the stick, but your guys came out and actually trailed at halftime in this game, but pulled away and won the game at the end. Talk about the game.
Well, you know, speaking of in the past, you know, we've lost 2 years in a row to Glencoe by one single point. 2 years ago by 1 point at Glencoe, and then last year, the night that the lights went out, and we lost by 1 point in overtime. You know, they've got a good, solid program. Are they as good as they've been in the past? No, they're not, but they still have a solid program and a lot of pride. And for us to, you know, trail at halftime, you know, by 2 points and then come back out to start the first 5 minutes of the third quarter and take the game back over says a lot for our kids. And I was just very proud of them and proud of them to get the win this week.
You knew this would be a physical game because that's how your guys play. That's how they're coached, and that's how Glencoe has been the last few years. So very physical football game as well, wasn't it? Oh, yes,
real physical. And Glencoe still has a lot of size. You know, the thing with us this year, we're not, you know, we don't have any size to speak of at all, and they really towered over us. But, you know, our kids played good technique and did the things that we coached them up and really played well and found ways to overcome adversity and win the game.
Offense was very productive in the game. Obviously, when you put up 35 points, you've scored a lot of points, but over 400 yards of total offense. Talk about how your offense was able to execute Friday night.
Well, we played Wellborn football. You know, we went out there and we got our running game going again. We've struggled with that this year, but our running game really did well. Our backs ran extremely hard. Montgomery had 244 yards rushing. Javion Thomas had a really good night rushing, and so did Kid Harris. So we had three backs that really ran the ball hard, and when that happens and you're a four-back offense and three of the four really, you know, make a lot of positive yards, you know, things are going to be clicking.
All right, well, we'll come back with first half highlights in just a moment of Wellborn and Glencoe from out at the Hill last Friday night. Stay with us. And we're back on Panther Pride. Panthers taking the field out at the Hill, hosting Glencoe. Coach?
Well, we started the game off real good. This is the second play of the game right here. Kid Harris had a real long run. We broke our track play right here and got a touchdown right off the bat. So we started the game off really good, 6-0. Missed our extra point. Kick off to Glencoe right here. And again, Glencoe just, you know, they've got a solid team. And that number 20 and 21, they're both of them's last name are Bush, and they're twins. And man, you talk about two good football players, and they've been good for years. Here they come out here and they got us right here. They ran like a little shallow cross right there, and we weren't able to get back on the drag route that they came across the field with. But then we come back offensively, and Kid Harris, look how hard and determined he runs. He's one of those players that always gives you everything he's got. And then here, of course, Montgomery. We played Montgomery at tailback last night, and Friday night, and man, he had some kind of game right there and played very well. So we go back ahead 12-7. Of course, you know, again, Glencoe's got a lot of pride. They come back too, and you know, this was an elimination game for them too. If they lose, that they're out of the playoffs, and if we lose, we were going to be out of the playoffs. Played solid defense there. Chandler Cup, he played a really good football game. Here you see we had Dalton Epps there on a blitz, and they caught us on a screen right where we had blitzed from. So they basically out-called us in. Here, you know, we had another good solid tackle right there with Jamire Curry. They came back here and faked the speed sweep and ran a counter here to this number 9 that they got, and he's a big solid player here. And Kane Pitts, middle linebacker, came across the field, made a tackle, and got it back out. Again, here they hit us with a little screen here, and you know, we were trying to give pressure, and there was 2 times during the game that we sent pressure, and they hit us with a screen right there. Austin McQueen has a nice pass right here to Jordan Montgomery, and we get the ball across midfield here, and that was right before the half, and then we didn't score, and they got the ball back right here, and And they tried to, there's that same screen right there, and then we defended a lot better. They ran a draw here. We did a good job against the draw. Here we forced them to punt, and again, this is right before the half, and we have a punt return here. Get some good return yards, and we get the ball here across midfield, and then we threw the ball into the end zone. I think we had one or two plays and didn't score, but we went at halftime 14-12. But even though we were behind, we had played well, and we felt good about what we were doing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you see here at halftime? Was it about as far as scouting Glencoe and what they've been doing all year? Is everything pretty much what you expected here at halftime?
Yes, it was. You know, the two scores that they got, well, they had made some plays and got the ball down there, but their actual touchdowns came off. We were sending pressure, and they hit the screens right where we were sending pressure off. You know, we made a gamble, and they had the right call at the right situation on us, and that's how they got in the end zone.
You mentioned while you were narrating the highlights the fact that the winner of this game still had their playoff hopes
That's
intact.
right.
The loser was out. You and I talked about this on the show last week, that this was basically the beginning of the playoffs for your football team. Were you pleased with how they came out with the intensity and started the game? Because I know that's one of the things you look for every Friday night.
Oh, yeah. Look, we started the game off on the other side of the spectrum where we started the Piedmont game off. I really felt like before we played Piedmont, we were beat before we went out there. And for me, being a coach at Welborn and playing at Welborn, to admit that it's really hard for me to do. But I really felt like we were defeated before we got on the field. This week, we were ready to get on the field. We wanted our team wanted to go out there and right a wrong that we had done the week before. You know, because wearing that black helmet, a black jersey, and playing on the hill and representing the Welborn Panthers, that means a lot, and it means a lot to all our fans and our former players and our school and our community that come out and support us, and we don't want to let them down.
All right, time for another break. We'll come back and look at second half highlights. A close game at halftime stays that way in the second half. We'll continue in just a moment right here on Panther Pride. That's wonderful.
Great.
That is so good. And we're back on Panther Pride. Good game going on at the Hill on Friday night. 14-12 Glencoe with a 2-point lead as we begin the second half.
Kick off the second half. Javion came down and made a good tackle, and we got him down on the 31-yard line to start the season. Out there on defense and had a really good first series right here. You can see our kids are running to the ball well right there, and we had them 3 downs and out, and then we get the ball back in the first play that we run a sweep right here, and Montgomery takes it to the house. And we regain the lead at this time.
Big play, Coach.
Big play. It's just, and well-executed play. Then we went for 2 right here, and Javion gets the ball in the end zone here on our double handoff, and now we've got a 20-14 lead. Again, Glencoe, again they're not going to just lay down. They come out there and run speed option here. Got us a good block. Blocked us pretty good here. That number 9 that they got here is really running the ball hard. Got in the end zone, just barely right there, kicked their extra point, and they go up by 1. But again, we responded well. Have a good kickoff return right here. If you can see Montgomery bringing the ball up the field. We have a good kickoff return here, and then here we run our buck sweep, and he breaks it outside here and scores, and then of course we go back up and with a lead. If you saw in the end zone there, that was Landon McCrisky right there. At home for this week right here. He had a knee injury at his college at Campbell, and he was back. It's good to see him back. Again, we run our sweep outside right there. Montgomery breaks it. That's one of those, number 18 runs it down right here, but I think he got kicked when he was, actually did it. Have a good pass here. We hit the check down right there, and we thought we was in the end zone there. They said he went out on the 2, but That was Dylan Grubbs. He got him a good reception. I was proud of him. Then, of course, Javion runs the play in here on our power play, and we're up 35-21. So we got a 2-touchdown lead. Okay, again, we kick off to them, and again, they're not going to lay down. I mean, they just got the team has got a lot of pride in them. Joseph Harris makes a good tackle, runs the guy down. Joseph had a good ball game too. He plays defensive end for us. Walker Hayes has the hardest hit of the night right there. He had one of those Bush twins came across and he made a good lick here. Here's that screen that they did before, and we got people on it. Charles Taylor right there was one of them right there, and we got it stopped. Then they hit the speed option on again and got us sealed right there, and then we missed a tackle here, and he got in the end zone. So now it's 35-28. They attempt an onside kick. Javion gets on it here, and then we get the ball here, and we end up running the clock out and win the game 35-28. So it was a good win, and it was good to go down in the locker room and see a bunch of smiles and laughter and happiness, and it was we needed it. And I'm just really proud that the kids got to experience that again, and now it keeps us alive for the playoffs. And sets up next week for a big game with Randolph County.
You know, coaches always talk about those first 5 minutes of the third quarter.
Oh, yes.
And I want to ask you about that because I don't think it could have went any better for you the way the second half started if you'd have wrote the script yourself. You came out, your defense, they got the ball, you pitch a 3 and out, you get it back, boom, big play, Jordan Montgomery scores. Huge way to start the second half.
Well, it was, and we preached to them that there's 4 critical times in a football game. The first 5 minutes of the game, 5 minutes before the half, first 5 minutes of the third quarter, 5 minutes before the game ends. Those are 4 critical times that you got to be at your best in a football game. And we were talking to them at halftime about that. Now, these first 5 minutes, how important this is going to be. And they responded, with a good kickoff and a good stop on the kickoff, and then the 3 and out, and then of course having the big play here and regaining the lead. It really kind of set the tone for the second half.
And your game breaker, Jordan Montgomery, some huge plays, racked up a big chunk of yardage, yes. 244 yards rushing. And when your offense can produce those big plays and you can get in the end zone quickly, really takes a lot of pressure off. It
does. But, let's go back to our offensive line. Our offensive line is not big. They're small, but, man, do they give us good effort, and are they scrappy? And they really went out there and had a really good night, too. And they opened some good holes for Jordan and for Ked and for Javion. So we need to make sure that we don't forget about those guys. They've caught a lot of heat this year because they're not very big. And there's been times that they have been overwhelmed just because of their size. But, they always give us good effort. They're always hustling. They're always trying. And I'm very proud of them.
All right, Panthers, big winner over Glencoe, 35-28. Playoff hopes still intact. We're going to come back and look at our individual player awards. And also later in the show, we'll look ahead to big matchup with Randolph County this Friday night on the road as we continue right here on Panther Pride. Panther Pride with Wellborn coach Jeff Smith. Coach, time to take a look at the individual player awards from the win over Glencoe Friday night.
Our player awards are best offensive line performance was Chandler Cup. Racehorse was Jordan Montgomery. The headhunter was Javion Thomas, who led us in tackles. Big Hog Award was Kane Pitts, the best linebacker and defensive line performance. Hardest hit was Walker Hayes that we pointed out on the film already. Meanest Panther, Jordan Montgomery. 12th man was Jordan Montgomery. And offensive player of the week was Jordan Montgomery, and our defensive player of the week was Javion Thomas.
Coach, how do you handle the presentation of these awards? I don't think that's something we've ever talked about. Is that done in a team meeting after the game or over the weekend?
We meet with them on Monday mornings, and then we go over the previous game and we hand out awards. And then our offensive defensive player awards are given out at our Bush Club meetings on Tuesday nights.
All right, congratulations to all those Wellborn players for the individual awards for this week's Glencoe game. Well, the game This Friday night is just as big as the last one. It is another region game. Panthers need a win to keep their playoff hopes alive. When we come back, we'll break down 3A Region 5 and talk about this Friday night's game with Randolph County right here on Panther Pride.
Right up the middle.
On Panther Pride with Welborn coach Jeff Smith and coach, big game this Friday night as you have to travel to take on Randolph County. Big Class 3A Region 5 matchup. There you see it, 7 o'clock kickoff down at Hewlin-Humphrey Stadium in Wedowee. And again, a key region game, and we'll look at the region standings now. And as is kind of typical at this time of year, there's always, especially when you've got a competitive region as competitive as this region is, you've got some teams jockeying for playoff positions. Piedmont is in as the region champ after their win over Ohatchee Friday night. Ohatchee is in as the 2 seed. Then things get interesting there, Coach. You've got a group of 3 teams, Randolph County, Weaver, and Welborn, all battling for those final 2 spots. You, in a sense, control your own destiny in that you have to beat Randolph County to keep your playoff hopes alive. And let's talk about Randolph County. They're one of the most improved teams that we have seen this year. They have really seemed to be playing better as the season has gone on, and they beat Weaver. They scored 61 points on Weaver on Friday night. So what have you seen on film so far from Randolph County?
Well, they got a lot of athletes, and you know they're a young team as far as experience at the start of the year, but they've gained experience, and they do have some older kids playing. And, you know, through the years, you know, I've got a son that's in the 8th grade, and I do know that their 9th and 10th graders are really good because we played against them in all the youth sports all the way up, and those were really the teams their teams are the teams we really battled with coming through. So we know they've got a lot of talent over there, and, you know, the longer they played in the season, the better they've improved, and they're, you know, they're a tough opponent. And they're as good as anybody we played this year. And we got a tough task ahead of us, but we're ready to meet the challenge.
We saw in your highlights how Jordan Montgomery kind of had some big game breaker type plays. They've got some players that that can hurt you in that regard. Talk about what you're going to have to do defensively to not give up the big play.
Well, we just got to play good technique. You know, we've got big thing is we got to go out there and we've got to make them drive the football. Instead of having big plays on us, you know, if we can get out there and make them drive the football, then there's more chance for them to have turnovers or mistakes. And then on the flip side of that, when we have the ball, we've got to control the ball and have good, long, sustained drives and finish our drives. You know, what I was so proud of this past week is we finished our drives. And that's been kind of our Achilles heel this year is we've been really good from 20 to 20 right there, but when we got into the 20, we either had a penalty or a turnover or stalled out. And we were finishing drives this week, and that was you know, very nice to see, especially this time of the year.
Well, you do have one more home game left. That'll wrap up your regular season against White Plains. This is your last regular season road trip, and it'll be a tough one. That's a tough place to go play. But do your guys like to get on the road and go play somewhere else? A lot of coaches say that gives your team a chance to kind of come together and really focus in on each other and play well.
You know, I don't know. I mean, when we play at home, it's special for us. You know, we really enjoy playing. You know, our home games mean a lot. You know, I don't know if it really matters where we play this week because of what's at stake. You know, we know this. We're going to have to go on the road and beat a very good team on the road. And if you're ever going to win a championship, you've got to be able to get on a bus, go to another team's stadium, and beat them on their field. And so that's the challenge we got lying ahead of us.
And finally, we talked about how they have some big play capability on offense. Let's look at it from the other side. Your offense against their defense, you didn't throw the ball that much on Friday night. You relied a lot on your running game, and it paid off. Is that kind of the same approach you're looking for this Friday night?
Well, you know, I mean, when we go in there and we start breaking down our opponent and everything, you know, I was taught early on, you know, you run where they ain't, and you take what they give you, and that's what we try to do. We try to find, you know, the soft spots in their defense and where the openings are going to be, and we try to exploit it.
Needless to say, I'm sure they saw how well you ran the ball against Glencoe, so I would assume you anticipate them maybe trying to stack the box and stop your running game.
Oh, yeah. We'll probably, defensively, there's a good chance we could see punt return on defense. So, but, you know, we do have a very capable quarterback, and we have done some good things in the passing game this year. So, you know, we can't hurt you with the pass. So, you know, what we got to do this week is we need to go and have a good week of practice. You know, we need to focus on ourselves and continue to make ourselves better, and then and go against what we expect to see them on defense, and the same thing on offense. Get their best plays down and get really familiar with that, and then go in the game Friday and, you know, find out who wants it.
All right, Coach, good luck on the road this Friday night against Randolph County.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back next week with all the highlights right here on Panther Pride.